Take me as your concubine. Alien princess with daughter begs a human sci-fi HFY story. The stars stretched endlessly across the black canvas of space, their distant lights flickering like tiny beacons. The human exploration vessel Endeavour drifted silently through the outer rim of the Navarra system. Captain Elias Carter stood on the bridge, staring at the star maps displayed before him. Space had always been a vast, mysterious place, but today it felt different. Something unusual was approaching. The sensors hummed softly, and Lieutenant Arya Chen pointed at the readings. Captain, we have an unidentified vessel approaching at sublight speed. Its energy signature is strange. It doesn't match anything in our database. Elias squinted at the display. The ship was elegant, almost fragile in design, yet it radiated a quiet power. Any life signs? He asked. Chen nodded. 2, 1 adult female, 1 child female, both humanoid but not human. A hush fell over the bridge. The crew had trained for many first-contact situations, but nothing could prepare anyone for the sight of an actual alien approaching for help. The vessel slowed, coming to a gentle stop a few kilometers away from the Endeavour. A projection shimmered across the main viewing screen. It was a holographic figure of a woman, tall and graceful, her features delicate and unfamiliar, yet somehow regal. Beside her stood a young girl, perhaps no more than 10 years old, her eyes wide with both fear and hope. Captain Carter cleared his throat. This is Captain Elias Carter of the United Earth Fleet. You are on our sensors. Identify yourself. The woman inclined her head, a gesture of respect. I am Princess Lyra of the Thalorians, she said, her voice soft but commanding. This is my daughter, Ayla. We come seeking your help. The words sent a ripple of tension across the bridge. Help? From humans? The Thalorians were legendary in some ancient records, known for their advanced technology and proud civilization. Why would they need humans? What kind of help? Carter asked cautiously. Lyra's gaze seemed to pierce through the bridge's screens. Our world is under threat. A galactic faction has declared our system for conquest. They are powerful, ruthless, and they will not hesitate to destroy all who resist. We have nowhere else to turn. The crew exchanged uneasy glances. The threat of a galactic faction was not new in the chronicles of space, but the idea of a helpless alien princess seeking human assistance was unprecedented. Lieutenant Chen stepped forward. Captain, they could be trying to deceive us. We don't know their technology, their intentions. We should proceed with caution. Carter nodded, understanding her concern. Agreed, but we also cannot ignore their plea. We are explorers and diplomats first. Let's open a secure channel. The screen shifted, projecting a full holographic image of Lyra and Ayla aboard the Endeavour. The princess's eyes were steady, her composure perfect, yet there was an unmistakable shadow of worry. Ayla clutched her mother's hand, her small face serious beyond her years. Captain Carter, Lyra began, we do not seek to impose upon your world. We know little of your customs or your people. But we have observed humanity, and we have seen your courage and wisdom in moments of crisis. That is why we come to you, not as subjects, not as conquerors, but as supplicants. We ask for your guidance and your protection. The word supplicants hung in the air. It was formal, almost archaic, but it carried weight. This was no casual request. This was desperation. Princess Lyra, Carter said slowly, choosing his words carefully, your request is unusual, but we do not turn away those in need. Tell us more about this faction. Who are they? What is their strength? Lyra nodded. They call themselves the Zurinth. They control several star systems through fear and technology. Their fleets are vast, their weapons capable of destroying entire cities. We have tried to resist, but our forces are limited. We fear that without intervention, my world will fall within the next cycles of your orbit. Ayla, the young girl, stepped forward slightly. Her voice was soft, yet carried an intensity that caught everyone by surprise. Captain Carter, they've already taken some of our outer colonies. People have suffered. My mother fights bravely, but we cannot win alone. You can help us. The room was silent for a moment. Humans were not easily moved by mere words, yet there was something in Ayla's plea, an innocence combined with wisdom that resonated deeply. The crew could see hope and fear intertwined in her eyes. Carter took a deep breath. We need proof. We need to understand your situation fully before committing. Lyra's expression remained composed, but her eyes softened. We have records of their attacks, coordinates of their patrols, and intelligence about their fleet movements. We will share everything you need. Lieutenant Chen raised an eyebrow. That's a lot of trust to place in humans. Lyra's lips curved slightly. We trust in your ingenuity. We have seen your kind solve impossible problems with limited resources. That is why we believe you can help us, even if we cannot fight alongside you directly at first. The bridge hummed with quiet discussion. Carter looked around at his officers, then back at the alien princess. All right, he said finally. We will examine your intelligence. If it checks out, we will discuss how to assist. But you must understand we cannot act recklessly. We need to know what we're facing. Lyra inclined her head. I understand. That is why we approached you directly. We wish for transparency and collaboration. The human crew worked alongside Lyra and Ayla to transfer data from the alien ship. The records detailed fleet movements, planetary defenses, and strategies used by the Zorinth. The level of sophistication was staggering. It became immediately clear that this was not a simple diplomatic mission. This was a potential war scenario. Yet even in the face of such overwhelming odds, the humans were not daunted. They analyzed the information, cross-referencing it with their own star charts and tactical simulations. Every officer on the bridge could feel the weight of responsibility pressing down. This was not just about exploration anymore. It was about saving a civilization. Ayla watched silently as the humans worked. She had seen fear in many faces before, but these humans were different. They were calm under pressure, methodical, and relentless in their pursuit of solutions. In her young heart, she felt a spark of hope she had not dared to believe possible. Captain Carter finally leaned back in his chair. Your records are detailed and accurate. It will take time, but I believe we can formulate a plan. But first, we need to know what you expect from us. Do you ask for soldiers, technology, strategy, or all of the above? Lyra's eyes glimmered with relief. We ask for guidance and support. We will accept what you can offer. Even knowledge of your tactics and strategy will be invaluable. We are willing to collaborate in any way that ensures the safety of our people. Carter nodded. Then we will begin immediately. Lieutenant Chen, assemble a team to analyze their fleet data. Start running simulations, and inform command that we have a potential first contact scenario with a high-stakes diplomatic request. As Chen moved to follow orders, Ayla tugged at her mother's sleeve. Mother, do you think they will help us? Lyra knelt to meet her daughter's eyes. I believe they will, my child. Humanity has something unique, something the Zorinth cannot understand. Courage, wisdom, and the ability to think when all seems lost. That is why we came to them. For the first time in many cycles, Ayla allowed herself a small smile. Perhaps there was hope after all. The human crew worked late into the rotation, reviewing data, running simulations, and preparing contingency plans. Each officer understood the gravity of the situation, but there was also a sense of excitement. They were not merely explorers anymore. They were pioneers, stepping into a role that could save an entire species. By the time the distant sun of the Navara system began to rise over the horizon of the alien world, a plan was beginning to take shape. Captain Carter stood at the observation deck, staring out into the void. Beside him, Lyra and Ayla watched silently. Do you think it will be enough? Ayla asked softly. Carter smiled gently, placing a reassuring hand on her shoulder. We humans have a way of surprising even ourselves. If we work together, I believe it will be enough. The stars twinkled above them, and for the first time since leaving their homeworld, Lyra allowed herself a small, hopeful breath. Perhaps they had found not just allies, but something stronger, partners who could help them face the darkness ahead. And somewhere deep in the endless black, the faint hum of the approaching Zorinth fleet reminded them that the real challenge was only beginning. The journey through the dark void of space was long and tense. The human ship Endeavor moved steadily toward the Thalorian home system, carrying Princess Lyra and her daughter Ayla. The two humans in charge of the mission, Captain Elias Carter and Lieutenant Arya Chen, knew that every decision now could affect the survival of an entire alien civilization. Lyra and Ayla remained calm, but there was a quiet tension in the air. The princess spent her time in the observation deck, studying the stars as though they held answers. Ayla, meanwhile, wandered among the crew, curious about human technology, asking questions about engines, navigation, and how humans could survive in the vast emptiness of space. Lieutenant Chen watched the girl with interest. You are very brave, she said one afternoon when Ayla had asked about the ship's weapons. Ayla looked up with large, thoughtful eyes. I have to be brave. My world is in danger, but I want to understand too. If humans are helping us, I need to know how they think. Chen smiled. You are wise beyond your years. That is good. Humans and Thalorians will need to work together to survive. Captain Carter, standing nearby, nodded. We will teach you everything we can. But you must promise to listen and observe as well. Sometimes understanding is more important than action. The first signs of danger came suddenly. The sensors picked up small, fast-moving ships in the distance. Captain, unidentified vessels approaching, called the sensor officer. They are moving in formation and their energy signatures match known Zerinth technology. Carter tightened his grip on the console. Red alert, all crew to stations. Chen, prepare our defensive systems, but keep them non-lethal. I want to scare them off if possible without engaging directly. Lyra moved beside him, her eyes steady. Captain Carter, they may not be scouts. They may be hunting us intentionally. I know their strategies. We must act quickly. The approaching ships came closer, sleek and black, their engines glowing faintly. The human crew worked methodically, using tactics they had practiced for years, yet the situation required improvisation. Chen accessed the Thalorian data Lyra had provided. Captain, if we deploy countermeasures based on their attack patterns, we can confuse them and escape without direct combat. Carter nodded. Do it. Ayla, stay with your mother. Everyone else follow orders. Remember, our goal is survival, not destruction. As the Endeavor activated its electronic countermeasures, the Zerinth ships moved unpredictably, attempting to flank the humans. The alien princess's knowledge of her enemies proved invaluable. She whispered instructions to Carter and Chen, guiding them in timing the maneuvers, predicting the scouts' moves almost before the sensors could detect them. Ayla watched wide-eyed as humans and aliens worked together. She had never imagined such a partnership was possible. Humans were clever, quick to act, and brave, while her mother and she provided knowledge and insight no human could have. Together, they were more powerful than either side alone. The encounter ended without violence. The Zerinth scouts, frustrated by the clever maneuvers, retreated. The crew let out quiet sighs of relief. Carter turned to Lyra. Your knowledge saved us. Humans can fight, but understanding your enemies before the fight is far better. Lyra inclined her head. We have learned through suffering. My people value wisdom as much as courage. I am glad it helped. For the next days, the Endeavor continued toward the Thalorian system. The journey was long, giving humans and aliens time to exchange knowledge. Ayla showed extraordinary understanding of star navigation, learning to interpret patterns that humans often overlooked. She became a bridge between the two species, sharing insights from her culture that humans found remarkably logical yet innovative. One evening, while the stars twinkled silently outside the observation window, Ayla asked Captain Carter, "Why do humans explore so far even when it is dangerous?" Carter smiled thoughtfully. Humans have a desire to understand, to help, and to survive. We know the universe is vast, but we also know that what we do matters. If we can save even one world, we will try, and sometimes, by helping others, we grow stronger ourselves. Ayla considered his words. Then helping my world is also helping humans. In a way, yes, Carter replied. And we are learning from each other. That is why this journey is important, not just for your people, but for all of us. Despite moments of calm, tension remained. Reports from the sensors showed Zerinth patrols near the Thalorian homeworld. Carter gathered his officers in the strategy room. We must plan our arrival carefully. If they detect us before we reach Lyra's planet, we may face a full-scale attack. Chen spoke up. We can use the asteroid field near the system. It will hide us from most sensors. Lyra can guide us through the safest path. Lyra nodded. Yes. The Zerinth do not expect travelers to use the field. It is dangerous, but it is our best chance to reach the planet unseen. The journey through the asteroid field was nerve-wracking. Huge rocks drifted in unpredictable paths, each collision potentially fatal. Human and Thalorian pilots worked in perfect coordination, weaving the ship carefully between massive asteroids. Carter's hands were steady, but his mind raced with calculations. Every movement mattered. Ayla assisted her mother from the observation deck, pointing out asteroid clusters and suggesting angles the human crew might not notice. There, she said. If we move now, we can avoid that cluster and reduce detection risk. Carter glanced at the projection and realized the girl was right. Good eye, Ayla. Make sure we keep following her guidance. Hours passed. The tension on the ship was almost unbearable, but finally they emerged from the asteroid field unscathed. Carter allowed himself a small smile. "Well done, everyone. Lyra, your guidance saved us, and Ayla, you may be the most skilled navigator on this mission." Ayla beamed at the praise, feeling proud yet humble. She knew the real challenge lay ahead, the protection of her homeworld, not the safe passage through an asteroid field. As they approached the Thalorian system, a magnificent view unfolded. The planet was larger than Earth, with swirling clouds of blue and green, illuminated by two suns. Orbiting stations and colonies were visible, some damaged, some intact. Signs of recent attacks were evident, reminding the humans of the stakes. Carter called the crew to the observation deck. "Look at this," he said quietly. "This is what we are here to protect, your homeworld, Princess Lyra, and this is why humans fight not for conquest, but to preserve life and freedom." Lyra's eyes glistened. "It is beautiful, yet so fragile. We owe you a great debt for guiding us this far." Carter shook his head. "No debts yet. The mission is not complete. We must ensure your people's safety first." They began preparations to land on the planet, coordinating with surviving Thalorian defense forces. Lyra shared knowledge of hidden defense grids, weak points in enemy patrols, and secret supply depots. Humans, in turn, shared tactical strategies, creating a plan that combined human creativity with Thalorian precision. The coming night was tense, with both humans and aliens anticipating the first real test of their partnership. Ayla could not sleep. She wandered to the observation deck and gazed at the distant horizon of her planet. "Mother," she whispered, "do you think humans can really help us save everyone?" Lyra knelt beside her, placing a comforting hand on her shoulder. "Yes, my child. They are different from us, but they are brave, clever, and kind. Together we have a chance to succeed where we could not alone." Ayla nodded, feeling a mixture of hope and fear. She knew the Zurinth would not wait. They would come, and when they did, humans and Thalorians would face a challenge unlike any other. Morning came, and the Endeavor entered low orbit over the planet. Ground teams were ready to receive them, and Carter convened a final briefing. "We have one chance to make this work. Humans and Thalorians must act as one, use every resource, every insight, and every strategy. This is not just about survival. It is about proving that courage, wisdom, and cooperation can overcome even the greatest threats." Lyra placed her hand on Carter's shoulder. "Then let us begin, for our people, for your people, for the hope of the galaxy." As the landing shuttles prepared to descend, Ayla looked down at the surface of her world. For the first time in many cycles, she felt that hope might not be a dream, but a reality. Humans were not just allies, they were partners, and together they might just change the course of history. The Endeavor moved into position, the shuttle doors opening to reveal a fleet ready for action. Every human and Thalorian aboard knew the coming hours would test their courage, intelligence, and unity. The Zurinth threat loomed large, but the bond forming between species promised a force no enemy could underestimate. And so, as the first shuttles touched the surface, the journey of collaboration, courage, and ingenuity began, one that would prove that even in the darkest of times, humans could shine, not through power alone, but through creativity, compassion, and determination. The Thalorian surface stretched beneath the shuttles, green and blue under the light of the twin suns. Captain Carter watched the fleet descend, scanning the ground for signs of enemy activity. The Zurinth had already struck, leaving burned-out colonies and abandoned structures, but not all was lost. Small groups of Thalorians had survived and were hiding, ready to join the fight if guided properly. Lyra's face was steady, her eyes reflecting determination. Ayla stood beside her, small but alert, her mind already racing through strategies. The humans had promised guidance, and now it was time to turn theory into action. "Deploy the field teams," Carter ordered. "Chen, you'll lead reconnaissance with the local Thalorian forces. I'll coordinate from here and support with tactical guidance." Chen nodded. "Understood. Let's make this fast and precise. We cannot give the Zurinth time to regroup." The landing shuttles touched the ground with careful precision. Dust and small debris rose in the air, but the crews emerged unscathed. Humans and Thalorians worked side by side, combining their skills seamlessly. It was unusual for both species, but the urgency of the situation left no room for hesitation. Lyra turned to Carter. "The Zurinth patrols are concentrated near the outer colonies. If we can draw them into a trap, We might save the remaining settlements. Carter studied the terrain using the shuttle's holographic map. We'll need decoys and misdirection. A direct confrontation would be suicidal. Humans can create diversions, set up ambushes, and use terrain advantage. Ayla spoke up, pointing to the map. There is a canyon near the southern ridge. If we lead them through it, they will be trapped. Their ships are larger than ours. They will not maneuver easily in confined space. Chen raised her eyebrows. Good thinking, Ayla, that could work. Carter nodded, impressed. Then it is settled. Lyra, you coordinate with the local Thalorian teams. Chen and I will set up the diversion. As the teams moved out, humans demonstrated their ingenuity. Using holographic projectors and energy decoys, they made it appear that small human squads were in places they were not. The Zurinth, observing from orbit and distant patrols, were deceived, believing the humans were more numerous than they really were. The first skirmish came sooner than expected. Zurinth drones descended near a cluster of hiding Thalorians. They fired non-lethal energy pulses to subdue resistance, but the humans were ready. Using tactical shields and quick maneuvers, they guided the drones toward an open area prepared as a trap. Lyra watched with pride as the humans led her forces carefully, minimizing casualties. They are clever, my daughter. They think in ways we could not have imagined. Ayla's eyes sparkled. They are amazing. Look how they trick the drones, and they do it without hurting anyone. The first trap worked perfectly. The Zurinth forces became confined in the canyon, unable to maneuver their larger ships. Humans and Thalorians, using energy nets and containment strategies, forced the enemy into stasis fields without direct combat. The Zurinth were confused and frustrated, unable to understand how a smaller force could outsmart them. Carter breathed a quiet sigh of relief. One step at a time, we need to ensure the rest of the colonies are safe before we can celebrate. Lyra nodded. Yes, but this success will give hope to our people. That is as important as any victory. Over the next cycles, humans and Thalorians moved from colony to colony, guiding survivors to safety and securing vital resources. Every movement was carefully planned, minimizing exposure to enemy patrols. The humans' understanding of strategy, combined with the Thalorians' intimate knowledge of the terrain, created an unexpected advantage. One evening, as the team rested in a hidden Thalorian outpost, Ayla sat beside Carter. Captain, why do humans always think differently? They see problems and solve them in ways that surprise even their friends. Carter smiled gently. Humans have learned to adapt. When things seem impossible, we look for solutions, not excuses, and we try to think about how our actions affect others. That is why we succeed sometimes where others fail. Ayla nodded thoughtfully. Then that is why you help us. Not because you are stronger, but because you can imagine better ways to protect people. Yes, Carter said. That is part of it. Courage is important, but so is understanding and creativity. Sometimes the smallest idea can make the biggest difference. The Zurinth, realizing they were being outsmarted, began to escalate their attacks. Drones became more aggressive, patrols intensified, and small battles broke out at night. Yet humans never resorted to unnecessary violence. Using quick thinking and resourceful tactics, they turned the enemy's own plans against them. Drones were guided into containment fields, patrols were rerouted with false signals, and traps were laid that required no destruction, only clever manipulation. Lyra watched these maneuvers closely. Humans are teaching us a new kind of warfare, one where we can protect lives and still succeed. That is something we have never known before. Ayla beamed. It is amazing. I feel proud to fight with them. They are different, but I like it. One day, intelligence reports indicated that the Zurinth were preparing a major attack on the central city of Lyra's planet. Carter called an emergency meeting. This will be the real test. We need to protect the city without losing our people. Lyra, Ayla, your knowledge will be crucial. We can't rely on brute force. Lyra outlined secret passages, old defense grids, and underground shelters. If we combine this with human tactics, we can lure them into positions where their advantage becomes a weakness. Carter nodded. Then we set the plan in motion. Chen, coordinate the teams. Humans and Thalorians together, remember cleverness over strength. The night of the attack arrived. The Zurinth fleet approached silently, confident in their numbers and firepower. But as they entered the planned zones, the humans' preparations activated. Holographic decoys misled their targeting systems, energy barriers redirected their drones, and the Thalorian defenders struck at the optimal moments. Ayla watched from the command post. Her heart raced, but she felt a surge of hope. "Mother, look, they are working together just like we planned," Lyra smiled. "Yes, my child, together we are stronger than we ever imagined." The Zorinth, unable to comprehend the coordination between humans and Thalorians, became increasingly disorganized. They attempted direct attacks, but each maneuver was anticipated and countered. The humans' creativity and adaptability shone brightly, proving that intelligence and courage could outmatch sheer numbers. Hours passed. The city remained safe, the enemy neutralized without mass destruction, and the Thalorian people cheered as their heroes returned. Carter and Chen coordinated the evacuation of civilians from vulnerable zones, while Lyra and her teams ensured that every survivor was accounted for. At dawn, the battle was over. The Zorinth withdrew, frustrated and humiliated. Humans and Thalorians had won not through violence, but through strategy, cooperation, and clever thinking. Carter walked with Lyra through the city streets, observing the grateful citizens. This is what humans strive for. Not to dominate, but to protect, to help, and to inspire. You have shown the same courage as your people, Princess. Together we have achieved something remarkable. Lyra's eyes were bright with emotion. Captain, I cannot thank you enough. You have done more than we could have imagined. Not only have you protected our people, but you have shown them a new way to think and fight without unnecessary bloodshed. Ayla ran up to them, holding a small gift of Thalorian crystals, polished to glow in sunlight. "For humans," she said, her voice filled with pride. "Thank you for helping us." Carter accepted the gift with a smile. "Thank you, Ayla, and remember, it is not just humans who did this. It is all of us working together." The bond between humans and Thalorians had grown stronger than anyone could have predicted. Both species had learned from each other. Humans had brought strategy, ingenuity, and courage, while the Thalorians contributed knowledge, insight, and local expertise. Together, they had faced overwhelming odds and emerged victorious. That night, as stars shone over the Thalorian world, Ayla looked out over the city from her mother's side. "Mother," she whispered, "do you think we can truly be free now?" Lyra smiled and placed a gentle hand on her daughter's shoulder. "Yes, my child. With humans as our allies and our people united, we have shown that even the greatest threats can be overcome. Courage, wisdom, and cooperation are our true strength." Carter, observing from a distance, felt the weight of what had been achieved. Humans had entered an alien world, faced an unfamiliar enemy, and without relying on brute force, they had saved countless lives. It was a moment to remember, not as conquerors, but as protectors, thinkers, and partners. The Zorinth may return, but now humans and Thalorians were prepared. Together, they had proven that courage and intelligence could defy the odds, and that even the smallest species could make a difference in a galaxy dominated by fear. And in the quiet aftermath of battle, hope shone brighter than any weapon, a reminder that humanity's strength lay not in firepower alone, but in creativity, cooperation, and unwavering resolve. The twin suns of the Thalorian world rose slowly over the horizon, casting long golden light across cities that had endured the recent attacks. The streets were filled with activity as survivors repaired their homes, rebuilt defenses, and welcomed allies who had risked their lives to save them. Yet the shadow of the Zorinth threat remained. Intelligence reports showed the enemy consolidating their forces on the system's edge, preparing for another attempt to conquer the planet. Captain Carter stood on the observation deck of the Endeavor, overlooking the city below. Beside him, Lyra and Ayla surveyed the horizon, their faces reflecting determination and hope. "We have to end this," Carter said quietly. "If the Zorinth return, they will bring even more power, but we have something they cannot predict: strategy, courage, and unity." Lyra nodded. "We will fight, but not like they expect. Our people are learning a new way. With humans, we can combine intelligence with our knowledge of the land. We can win without needless destruction." Ayla, standing on her tiptoes, looked at Carter and asked, "Captain, how will we make them leave for good?" Carter smiled gently. "By showing them that they cannot win, by outthinking them at every step and protecting our people while doing it." Sometimes brains are stronger than weapons. The first step was gathering intelligence. Humans and Thalorians scoured the system for signs of the enemy fleet. Using a combination of stealth drones, hidden sensors, and Ayla's unique understanding of her world's terrain, they mapped the Zorinth movements. The enemy was large and powerful but predictable. Humans had learned to spot patterns, exploiting even small mistakes. "Carter, their fleet is splitting," Chen reported. "Half is heading toward the northern colonies while the rest remain near the outer rim. They plan to divide and conquer." Carter leaned over the holographic map. "Then we must use that against them." "Lyra, can you guide our forces to trap both groups simultaneously?" Lyra smiled. "Yes. If we can lure them into the canyon systems on opposite sides, their advantage disappears. Our people can defend the cities while humans create diversions. Together, we will control the battlefield." Preparations began immediately. Humans set up holographic decoys and communication jammers, making the Zerinth believe human forces were scattered and weak. Thalorians reinforced key positions with energy barriers, underground tunnels, and automated defense grids. Ayla and other young Thalorians assisted in coordinating civilian evacuations, ensuring that everyone would be safe during the confrontation. When the enemy appeared over the northern colonies, the humans executed the plan perfectly. The decoys led the Zerinth into narrow canyon paths. The larger ships struggled to maneuver, while the humans guided them skillfully using remote-controlled drones and holographic signals. Every move was precise, designed to avoid destruction and casualties. Lyra watched from the command center, impressed by human ingenuity. "They think in ways we never imagined. Cleverness is their greatest weapon." Ayla grinned. "And we get to be part of it. Look at them, Mother. They're turning the enemy's strength into weakness." The northern fleet of Zerinth ships became trapped, unable to retreat without passing through human-controlled zones. Instead of firing, humans used containment fields to disable their engines temporarily. The enemy's frustration grew, and confusion spread through their ranks. Meanwhile, Carter coordinated the southern flank. Using Thalorian terrain knowledge, humans guided the enemy fleet into areas where natural obstacles, combined with cleverly placed energy nets, limited their movement. Zerinth ships were forced into positions where they could not attack or retreat effectively. At the same time, Lyra rallied her people. "This is our chance to protect our world," she called to Thalorian soldiers and civilians. "Work with the humans, use your knowledge, your skills, and your courage. Together we can win." The combined effort of humans and Thalorians began to turn the tide. The Zerinth, unable to adapt quickly, found their numerical advantage meaningless. Each maneuver they attempted was anticipated and countered, their attacks deflected not by brute force but by intelligence, planning, and cooperation. Ayla watched from the observation deck, her heart pounding. "Mother, they can't stop us now? Humans are amazing." Lyra smiled, her pride visible. "Yes, Ayla, this is the power of unity. We have combined knowledge, courage, and creativity to protect our people. The Zerinth cannot break us because we are together." Hours passed as the humans and Thalorians executed their plan flawlessly. The enemy fleet, trapped and unable to maneuver, eventually had no choice but to retreat. They had underestimated the resourcefulness of their opponents, and their confidence was shattered. Carter and Chen guided the final stages of the operation, ensuring that all civilians were safe and that no unnecessary destruction occurred. The Thalorians, inspired by the humans' courage and cleverness, worked tirelessly, showing resilience and intelligence that impressed even their human allies. When the battle ended, the planet was safe. Citizens cheered as the news spread that the Zerinth had been forced to retreat. Humans and Thalorians celebrated together, their cooperation having saved countless lives. Carter walked through the city with Lyra and Ayla, observing the repairs and relief efforts. Lyra turned to Carter. "Captain, you and your people have done more than save our cities. You have shown our people a new way to think. We have learned courage, strategy, and hope. We owe you everything." Carter shook his head. "No debts. You fought bravely and worked alongside us. This was a partnership. Humanity's strength is not in dominance, but in helping others and solving impossible problems. You have proven yourselves as equals in this fight." Ayla ran ahead to greet some of the rescued civilians, her small hands offering comfort and supplies. "Captain, look, everyone is safe. We did it." "Yes, Ayla," Carter replied, smiling, "and it is because everyone worked together." Humans, Thalorians, young and old, everyone made this possible. Lyra placed her hand gently on her daughter's shoulder. "My child, this is a new beginning. Our people have learned that courage is not only in battle, but in wisdom, cooperation, and creativity." Humans have taught us that even in the face of a stronger enemy, we can prevail. As the twin suns set, casting warm light over the recovering cities, Carter and his crew prepared to depart. They had accomplished their mission, and the bond formed between humans and Thalorians was stronger than ever. This alliance would ensure that both species could face future threats together, guided by intelligence, courage, and shared values. Before leaving, Ayla ran to Carter holding a polished Thalorian crystal. "For you, Captain, to remember us." Carter accepted it with gratitude. "Thank you, Ayla, I will treasure it. And remember, it is not just humans who saved your world, it is all of us working as one." Lyra nodded. "Your presence has changed our history, Captain. Humanity's courage and wisdom will be remembered for generations." Carter watched the shuttles rise into the sky, feeling a deep sense of fulfillment. Humanity had faced the unknown, collaborated with an alien civilization, and overcome a formidable threat. Not through sheer power, but through intelligence, creativity, and moral courage. This was the essence of what humans could achieve, a shining example of HFY in action. Ayla waved from the observation deck. "Goodbye, Captain. Thank you for everything." "Goodbye, Ayla," Carter called back. "Remember, courage and wisdom will always guide you, and humanity will always stand with those who fight for what is right." As the Endeavour left orbit, the Thalorian planet looked peaceful once more. Its people had survived, their culture enriched by the example of human ingenuity and honor. Lyra and Ayla stood together, watching the departing ship, knowing that this alliance would shape the future of their world. Carter reflected on the journey. They had faced fear, danger, and uncertainty. Yet humans had proven that clever thinking, courage, and cooperation could overcome even the greatest threats. In the galaxy, where power and conquest often dominated, this was a moment of hope, a testament to humanity's ability to inspire, protect, and triumph through intelligence and morality. As stars streaked past the ship in the endless void, Carter looked ahead to the next adventure, knowing that wherever humans went, they would shine not as conquerors, but as protectors, problem-solvers, and allies. And on the Thalorian world below, Princess Lyra and Ayla looked to the future with renewed hope, inspired by humans who had not only saved their world, but taught them that courage, wisdom, and unity could defeat even the darkest forces in the galaxy. In the quiet that followed, a lesson remained clear. The strength of humanity was not in weapons or numbers, but in creativity, collaboration, and the unwavering belief that even the impossible could be made possible. The galaxy was vast, and challenges would come again. But now, humans and Thalorians were ready to face them together, clever, united, and unstoppable.